federal government got into student loan business in 1965. It was sort of to get into during the kind of the Cold War, and they saw remember when Sputnik went up? Mm-hmm. And it was in the late 50s or something. 60s, I figure when that happened. And then everybody was like, oh boy, we're way behind. We better do something. These Russians are outsmarting us. We need to really start educating our future. So the federal government did this big push to get everybody into college. And they said, well, some people can't afford it. Well, that's okay. We'll just we'll give student loans. Well, then they got even more into it. And then in 2010, the Obama administration, in order to help pay for the Affordable Care Act, which is not affordable, they said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll take over student loans, and then rather than having the banks make the money on the thing, because the banks would make the loan and then they would get the interest and get that, and then the banks would not have to pay, would not have any loans defaulting on their balance, on their sheets, on their ledgers. It would all of the funding, all of the loans that weren't being repaid, we, the taxpayers, would eat that. So the bank had all the upside. The government, us, had all the downside when someone took out a loan but didn't repay it. So then the federal government comes along and Obama administration says, well, we'll take over the whole thing. We'll make it far more efficient, and we'll get the interest paid on those loans. We'll take that cash and we'll help pay for Affordable Care Act. They have to show that we can offset the increased cost. Where's the revenue going to come from? So they put this thing in place. Well, if you look from the 1960s when the government got in and started making these loans, you can see as the loans went up, college tuition went up. Because colleges all of a sudden were outside of the normal marketplace because the student was coming in with $30,000 worth of cash that who knows if they could ever repay it. It's the only loan you can get without having to show any credit, right? Because if you go to get a loan on the house, well, what's the value of the house? You're going to take out, a home equity loan on the value of the house because who's ever lending you that money wants to know where's the cash coming from if I give you the money. In this case, we just give an 18-year-old $50,000 and then you can go major in frisbee tossing. And then, oh, shocking, nobody wants to hire me. I thought people would want to hire me. I've got this degree in American pottery poetry, but apparently there's no need for that. But I owe $50,000 or I owe $75,000. What I'm going to do? Well, I'll just wait for a person who's running for president to come along and try to buy my vote by telling me you don't have to pay it back. Well, the Supreme Court shot that thing down numerous times for Biden because Biden doesn't have the power. The president doesn't have the power to forgive those loans. So they tried a whole bunch of different ways to get around it. Most people haven't paid their loan in, 4 or 5 years? They've been waiting.
They froze it during COVID, basically, and they haven't required payments, I think, since then.
Right. So what happened was that actually helped to increase inflation because now the college student that was paying on average $300, that's the average college loan payment monthly, they had that extra $300 to spend on something else. So that helped to fuel the inflation. So now, starting on the 5th of May, they're coming in, they want your money. So there's a bunch of different programs that people can sign up for in order to be able to make sure you don't go into arrears on this. So there's 2 federal programs that you can call up, get online. You explain what your monthly income is. Your wife or husband's income will not be included in there. It's just going to be your income, and then it'll sort of reevaluate what you need to pay monthly. But this idea that you can take out a loan for $50,000 and everybody else has to pay for your crappy degree that you got, which actually has no value in the marketplace, but somebody told you it would be a good idea. Until colleges have to bear some of the responsibility, colleges should be able to show this is the percentage of our students that graduate. These are how much money they make every single year. This is the chance that if they get a loan for this amount of money, they will be able to produce this amount of cash and be able to pay back. And if they don't, then the college has to come in there and start to bear some of the damage done rather than these loans just simply coming out. Take it away from the government, give it to the private sector, make them more accountable for the cash that's going out and the cash that's coming back in again. But this idea that I shouldn't have to pay it back. Why not? What about everybody else? Guy takes out a loan for a truck and he's got some business. He's going around putting up drywall or something or raking up leaves. He's got to pay the person for the truck. Why would you not write? You're not writing off his loan. Same thing with houses and stuff. Why should we feel sorry for these college students? I have no sympathy at all. Well, first of all, being a college dropout, I harbor a little animosity too. But just generally, no, you took out the loan. You thought you would be able to get $70,000 or more. You major in some ridiculous thing, and then you go out into the marketplace and say, I can't pay my loan back.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
So, okay,
nothing's off base.
Setting aside the fact that people should be required to pay back their loans.
Of course.
The mixed messaging from the government in terms of whether or not you're going to have to pay or when you're going to ever have to pay again. Do you think that them suddenly requiring payments on these and sending them to collections if they're not being paid by the 5th, I think?
Well, I'm going to argue with the word suddenly. Okay. You know that you have the debt. And yeah, you have been yanked around. I'll give you that, right? Because you had whoever was telling Biden what to read on the teleprompter, including the instructions that said, repeat this, which he did, that he was hoping that he could buy enough votes by saying, I'm going to forgive all of your college loans. So then he needed the young votes. That's when you go to vote. Oh, he forgave my $50,000 or $75,000. I'm going to vote for that man. So they were getting kind of played a little bit there, but they knew they still had the loan. They still had to pay it. And they realized, no one's calling. I'll just spend the money I was spending on my college loan. I'll spend it on something else. So now they have to turn it back on again, but the government should be in place to be able to. And if you have to be on hold for 2 hours, too bad. Same thing if you ever try to call the IRS. You got to pay them. You took the loan. You've got to pay it back. You have a responsibility to pay it back. I took out one of those loans with when they locked down everything. And
PPP loan?
Yeah, screwed my business. And a friend of mine said, what do you owe? I said, $700 a month. Well, you don't have to pay that. They're not going to come after you for that. There's way too many people. I said, no, I took the money. I paid Nicole. I paid myself because I lost all my money for the auction business. I owe it to them. It's $730 a month for like the next 20 years or something like that. I don't even know what the interest is on it. But every month, federal government, thank you for your payment. I took the loan. Yeah. It's my responsibility. Pay the thing back. Oh, what does it matter? You're only one person. Yeah, but if everybody does it, it screws over everybody. You should just have responsibility just to pay it. That's the way I look at it. And if you got the college loan, pay back.
Do you think there will be economic?
Oh, are we going to fall into recession because people aren't paying their $300 a month?
Learn some economics.
If all of a sudden those people have
40 million people defaulting, and then all their credits getting damaged, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they all of a sudden they can't buy a house or whatever they want to do in the economy that would stimulate.
Again, all of a sudden they can't buy a house.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. There's 40 million of us. 40 million people have the loans. It's $300 a month is the average. It's $28,000, I think, is the average. Some people owe $150,000 for their Frisbee degree. Other people only owe $13,000 for the Frisbee degree. That's the most amazing thing. You're 18 years old. All these adults are like, oh, do you want some money? Oh, here's some money. What are you going to study? Oh, a bunch of crappy college courses, feminine something or other, basket weaving. And some other adult goes, yeah, you're really going to enjoy that.
We'll back that.
Well, yeah, here's some money. Nobody steps in and goes, this doesn't make any sense. Like if you were a business,
yeah,
and you go to the bank, yeah, I want to do, I want to be involved in Greek wrestling, but seen through the eyes of this, culture from the Fijian Islands. You're like, oh, okay. How much money do you need?